Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. In this coffee break video, cheers. I'm drinking that Sadama. Okay, so in this coffee break video, I wanted to start documenting something pretty cool. I have hired a designer to help me possibly rebrand Black City Coffee Roasters. And I think through doing this sort of documentation and vlogging it and going through the journey of it, I will be able to work out how I feel about certain stuff. It's often been my way of, I guess, talking out stuff and really fleshing out my ideas with certain ideas like this, like branding and things like that, through vlogging. So even before I came into coffee, I was vlogging things, I was making content, I was trying to be transparent and document how I felt about things so that I could flesh out those ideas and really land in the right place, so to speak, right? So a lot of times when we're coming up with new ideas, kind of get like a little bit caught in the head, and we'll think and think and think and mull and mull and mull, and won't really be able to flesh out ideas unless you're actively talking to people. I don't actively talk to people, honestly. I talk to my husband, I talk to my sister, and I talk to you guys on this film. So that sounds really sad out loud, but that's how I am. I'm a very introverted person. I like to have one-on-one sort of conversations. Yeah, so I find that I think that talking through this process of working with a designer, possibly rebranding Black City Coffee, I mean, we are going to rebrand it. It's going to change. And even my hesitation to say that goes to show, I guess, the challenge that I'm going to face personally. I guess just, I'm already seeing my own odd attachment to what I've created, and inviting somebody in to look at what I've done on the outside, critique it, share their thoughts on it, is not threatening, but it feels foreign and it feels uncomfortable, right? So it's not something that I'd say is bad. Nothing is bad. I wouldn't do this if it was bad. It's very good. But I do want to share that going through change is uncomfortable. And I think if I want to work in coffee, right, this is one step that is really going to challenge me and really have me face the music in a way where, hey, we're taking a very big, serious step. We are investing in branding and a designer. I'm happy with what I've done in the design in terms of what I've come up with the logo, and I have this vision, but I'm not a real designer. I have not a real designer. I don't have the background or the theory or the practice or the experience, I think, in order to bring me to the place I want to be, which I say all this stuff, but it's very like undefined. And I think through this process of designing and working with somebody on the outside, and a designer like him specifically, is going to help me refine those thought processes, the language that I'm using to communicate not only to myself about what I'm doing here in coffee and with Black City specifically, but to my customer, right? And in the end, that's really who matters. And I think I'm gonna have to work through the struggle of letting go of what I think Black City is, and balance that, or maybe even make more room for what it means to other people, or what it can mean to other people. And see, right there, I need somebody to help me work through those ideas. And I think this designer who I'm working with is going to help me do that. So I've done this type of work, not in this depth, but I've definitely been on this side where on the designer side where I'm talking to people about their brands, and I'm like, well, why does it look like that? What's your story? How does that make sense, or how does that play into the font type that you use, or the color choices that you have, or even the flourishes that you use, or just, the overall look and aesthetic and how things make you feel when you look at them or hear them, right? And so nobody's been really able to do that for me, or I haven't found somebody to do that for me in the past. And so a lot of it is just me flying by the seat of my pants and what feels good in the moment. So I'd like to say that there's been a well thought out strategy and plan from the beginning of of Black City Coffee to now, but really it's been what felt good at that time. And that's just that's how I am. So me working with a designer, and somebody who's not just like, here, I'm going to design something, somebody who's really asking me very in-depth, poignant questions that are making me really question, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose? Is it worth pursuing when you ask that question? And it feels a little scary, like when I'm going through the second round of questions right now, and I'm like, he's like, can you unravel that for me? Or can you clarify this? Can you go deeper? I'm like, what else can I say? That's what it feels like to me. I'm like, oh man, you want me to go very, very deep. And that's great. That's what I need, because a lot of the time it's just like what I told you. I'm flying by the seat of my pants, or sometimes I feel that way. I'd like to think that I'm putting in a lot of thought and I guess philosophy behind what I'm doing. And for the most part, I think I am. But you can only go so deep. You don't know what you don't know, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know the limits of my capacity. I don't know my full depth at this stage, and that's okay, because it's questions like that make me discover new layers and depth of my own purpose in coffee and what I want to do in coffee. And yeah, so this is the first video of that, and I think it'll be cool to just kind of like document, hey, this is the first day, I've made the first payment, it was it was an investment, right? We're going through this brand discovery, brand message, mission discovery, philosophy. We're discovering all this stuff that I did think of, but only on a very surface level. After all of my marketing experience, I see where he's going and all that stuff, but for somebody to sit there and really dissect my words is totally new for me. So that's exactly what I was looking for. And I remember sitting upstairs when everything was changed, before my accident, all that stuff, and I was trying to do that with my husband because I had done that for him. But it doesn't always work like that, especially people cannot be your everything, like your husbands or your spouses or your partners. They can't be your everything. So it did feel kind of weird for me to like venture out of my circle to find the help that I needed. But coffee is so different in terms of a business, is so different than what I'm used to doing. I'm so good at what I do. I think I'm pretty good at what I do in my first job, right? Obviously, I've done it for a long time, so I have a certain amount of expertise there. And I'm a total newbie in coffee, which makes it very exciting. And everything is a lot more, I think, emotional at this stage in starting a business and things like that. And yeah, so I'll be going through all the things, all the emotions, and I hope to document that here on the coffee breaks. And so we'll have coffee. I'll let you guys know what's going on in terms of, what it's like to work with a designer. And I think this is not a cheap designer. I've worked with cheap designers where I've spent like $600, and at that time I was like, this is expensive. But when you get into real design, it's getting into the thousands. And the way, the types of questions that designers should ask you should be really, really philosophical, I think, which they are. I'm going through that right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I gotta think deeper. I gotta go deeper. I gotta stop saying just like all the same crap that everybody else says. Like, do I really feel like that, or am I just repeating? Am I parroting words? And I think that will be the amazing, challenging process of discovering what Black City Coffee is, letting go of my own preconceptions and my own ego and attachment to what I've created, and letting other people come in and help me and guide me, and guide my baby, right? Like, that's the hardest thing for an artist, is to create something from nothing, birth it, right? And then like, try to hand it off to somebody. Try to be like, here, like, this is my baby. I created this, and now I'm gonna give it to you, okay? And can you please be precious with it? Can you please take care of it? Can you please understand how much heart and soul, and love and blood, sweat, and tears I put into this baby, And please, give it the same, which is never gonna be true for other people who are like, sure, I'll take care of it, and they do their best, but it's never going to be how much you would give and sacrifice and suffer for, right? And so that's what it feels like. It feels like, oh, I've created this thing from nothing, and I have to be wise and be aware of my own attachment, my own, helicopter mom of this thing that I've created. I need to be able to understand that I've given life to this thing, but it doesn't just belong to me. It has the potential to belong to many people, vis-a-vis the customer, right? The coffee drinker, the people who are creating this coffee, actually, or farming this coffee. So it doesn't just belong to me in this sort of like weird ownership that I struggle with a lot, because I don't know if it's because I come from that world, or that's just my personality, or a combo of both. But yeah, I feel that right now. I feel this weird, I have to let go. Even though I'm like paying the money, I'm answering the questions, I'm like, I feel the resistance in me. Like the dark sides. I feel your resistance. Yeah, like that. I feel like that. So I'm just trying to be like open with that, and document that for myself too. Like, to say it out loud is to acknowledge it, to validate how I feel, and to say like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this thing, we're gonna change this. And the feeling of loss, of I made that, right? I made that from nothing, from scratch. And I paid money to have it engraved on a piece of wood and display it proudly and put it in all my videos, right? And hiring a designer means I'm gonna have to let that go. Like, I was so proud of that, and I have to let it go now, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you made that, it was awesome, but now it's time to let it go, and a part of you dies a little bit, but not like, I'm not trying to be somber about it. I'm not trying to complain either. I'm just trying to share that things evolve in business. And I've done this so many times. And maybe that's why I have a healthier disposition with it. And I came to hiring a designer quicker than I ever did before, right? I knew I was going to have to hire a designer. I was like, hey, it's cool. Like, people like it, but now we're going to go deeper. And every curve, every line, every font choice, every kerning and spacing of the logo and the mark and whatever we come up with, whatever he comes up with, will have a why and a purpose behind it. And with that intention, I feel like that will sort of flood in everything else that we do here at Black City Coffee. And that is my intention. And while I cannot give 100% of my attention all the time to this side hustle, right? It's a side hustle. It's a very expensive hobby at this point, right? We're not like out of the red yet. But with that intention, we are on our way to laying down the bricks that we're going to need as we build this castle of Black City Coffee, where, you know, I will be able to confidently share what I do at the roaster with more and more people and get them to appreciate and love the coffee that they're drinking, and hopefully get people to discover more about themselves through coffee. And I've been thinking about, you know, what makes me different. I mean, off the bat, I'd say it's the way I create content, or it's me, because nobody can be me, and that's a kind of easy answer to give. But I think through this process of rebranding, that will become more clear and clearer to me, and be able to convey that better. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. This is the first video of that, and thanks for chatting. I hope to share some good news on the next coffee break video talking about branding and business and stuff like that. And if you're not into that, don't worry. I'll still be doing roasting videos. If you're into that stuff. My Osmo was broken for a minute, so that's why I hadn't been putting out very many of them. But I'll get back on it. We're doing a couple new things, creating some exclusive blends for my company, KLV Photography. And we're doing a lot of stuff over there. So more roasting videos coming. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.